So after 18 months of development, Stress Level 0 released patch 4 on June 6th, which essentially remastered BONLEAB along with some general under-the-hood changes to the game and SDK to improve performance. What this means for players is that they now have a better experience, especially on standalone, and for Stress Level 0, hopefully quicker iteration time for game updates or their next project. But that was months ago at this point, and I'm obviously late to the party with this video. Since then, they dropped patch 5 on July 18th and patch 6 on August 27th, sticking to their previously mentioned 6-week patch cycle. Those patches continued the trend of changes to the Marrow SDK, but along with them came some odd changes to MineDive. Now, we're back waiting on the Unity version update, which is targeted for patch 7 with no real solid release date in sight. But back to those odd changes to MineDive. So to me, it seems as if somebody accidentally left future content in the game. I know some folks think this was intentionally left unfinished, but I strongly believe this is actually just an accident, and this content was meant for a future release, so maybe patch 6 or patch 7. Stress Level 0 in the past has usually left content in the game, but in a disabled state if it's for the future, whereas this is as if somebody forgot to disable all the new Unity scenes that they built, causing some odd overlaps to happen with the old and new version of that area, such as the control room and the new WishingWell area. So if we go over here, we can check out the control room. You can see they've updated this a little bit in patch 5. New little lights on the floor, this new white texture on the wall, got some little lighting onto this poster. But for the most part, you enter in here, you've got your clipboard over there, weird phone that you can pick up right here. But there is a new version of this area that you can get to load in if you kind of fly up here and turn no clip on. Let's try it again. There you go. So you can see now there's a doorway there. There is a ventilation shaft there. Hallway looks a little different. So you can see this ventilation system right now doesn't really connect to anything. It's this little spiral shape though. Seems like maybe it was meant to connect to some other secret exit areas that I'll show later. But you can see this hallway is now different. You've got a sign saying control room, break room that way. Little exit sign going down this way. Our poster's gone. And the hallway now does this tight U-turn and goes down here. So it seems like maybe this whole layout was going to change. So break room is this way. Obviously lighting, as you can tell, is a little weird. Some of the stuff looks like it's lit correctly, other stuff doesn't. But there is some disabled content in this area. So there's supposed to be a little authentic key up here. You can see that grate is closed. We've got our socket over here. So I can drop down. It's red right now. Plug it in, it turns green. Ooh. And the grate is now open. And then this area just leads down to some bathrooms, and it's got a back hallway that is oddly blocked off. But seems like maybe they are planning to expand it in the future, so this actually has a little hallway attached to it. Otherwise, this other route, if you take this, just leads you right back onto the tracks. So it seems like maybe you could either enter or exit the ride in these back rooms this way. So that was the control room, right? The other area I mentioned was the WishingWell. So if you come back here, looks like the normal old WishingWell starts playing the little announcement. If we go and no clip, suddenly there's this new area. Seems like maybe it was meant to replace the WishingWell. It's been moved over here. If we look at the name of this area, it's actually got Banana Land on it, so don't know if maybe this is going to be some future content. And we've got a reader right there that would take Michael's keycard. Why I think, though, that maybe this was future content that accidentally got left in is you can still see the entire WishingWell up above you. So I started digging into the game files. I found Unity scenes mentioned that are never loaded in game. I found one specifically that is called XUtil doors. It was in previous versions of the game, and it was just this web of hallways that seemed to link different sections of these exit doors together. So what I did was what anyone would do, and I ripped the game and pulled it back into Unity. So after going through some pain and suffering to get the game loaded in Unity and looking okay with proper textures and shaders, I could just go through and load whatever scenes I wanted to, turn things on and off, compare and contrast. Okay, here's the old versus new control room. You can see the difference there. But what I could also do is go into the scene that I noticed in the game files that seemed like maybe it was disabled and check out what that looked like and see, there is a ventilation shaft connecting to the control room area, but this area actually goes to both the WishingWell and the maintenance room area. So you can see there's this doorway here, and that should be where the minecarts come from. So my next step now is to see if I can figure out how to load this in-game. So within BONLEAB, there's this idea of a palette, and the palette has references to avatars, levels, anything that you're modding in. BONLEAB has a palette for its internal content, which means this is the palette that lists all of our levels out. If I search for MineDive, we can see, here you go. Here's MineDive. Here's the barcode for MineDive, but here's also the persistent scenes for MineDive. Obviously, these are not human readable. This isn't saying XUTOL doors, blah, blah, blah. This is the GUID. This is the globally unique identifier for that scene. Since I ripped all of BONLEAB and pulled it into Unity, I actually have metadata files for those scenes that tell me what their GUIDs are. I can paste it in here, do a search for it, and see, okay, it's under scene chunks. But that doesn't mean it's going to be permanently loaded when I open up MineDive. So for me to do that and test this out, I just got to slide this up here to persistent scenes, and now when I hopefully load into MineDive, we'll see that scene chunk just permanently stay loaded. Obviously, there is some content that was disabled within it in Unity, that little checkbox to enable or disable. I'll just have to go into Unity Explorer and turn that stuff back on. So let's try that out. Okay, so I loaded in game. I went ahead and re-enabled some of the scene, all the content that I saw in it that was disabled, heard a bunch of loud noises, and it turns out it's actually these doors. Looks like there are duplicates of this doorway in this disabled scene. For the most part, though, it looks like it's got a majority of the stuff that we've seen in the control room and break room area. So it's got these lights along the floor. Looks like WishingWell would be that way. Maintenance room would be that way. Let's look, how far does this go? As we saw, it didn't seem like it was a full scene. Yep, okay. So it just ends abruptly here, and it looks like all the way over there would be where the WishingWell entry door is. So as you can see, obviously it's missing lighting. So even if I were to say re-enable this, it doesn't really do a whole lot because lighting is super bad. And obviously it's incomplete. These hallways are not closed off. So now the next question is, can I inject over this scene if I make a mod and use the same GUID for the scene? Would it then load my mod level in instead of this built-in map? I guess only one way to find out, so I'll go test it. Okay, so I'm off to a great start. I've restored that scene in-game. Now the question becomes, can I take it, fix the lighting, fix the holes, and re-inject that back into the game? So can I create a mod and have my scene chunk use the same GUID of an existing scene to essentially overwrite it in-game, maybe replace it? And so far I've found I'm not able to do that. But what I can do is add new scenes that I make in my mod into a level. But unfortunately, the problem with this back area is that there are no new holes that I can punch through the level to get back here without using the Nimbus Gun. That's where Eisern comes in. He posts a video of entering the lower reactor area using a method I've never seen before to get out of MineDive. I don't know if you caught that, but the door in MineDive follows the same rules as the one in Big Anomaly. You just need to knock or punch it and it'll open for you. So this is it. This is the entrance to access the secret area without no clipping using a Nimbus Gun, and I can add some stuff into it if I want, since that area is basically empty. So here we are back in Unity, and I can show you what I've done so far. I'll save you some time watching me struggle with snapping modular assets together and skip to the finished product. I'll try to treat this as a sneak peek and not spoil too much here so you can explore it a bit on your own, since I've added other content I data mined and didn't mention earlier in the video. So let's dive in. If we go through here, you can see I have a hallway now that routes around and down and over to this Banana Land WishingWell area. I also routed it back over to the minecart spawn area. Another thing I noticed is that these new MineDive areas also have some asset spawners that are disabled. Things like desks, TVs, a radio in Michael's office, these scaffolding that are scattered around here. I went ahead and made sure to add all that stuff back and fix up some broken shaders down in Michael's office over here, where these walls were for some reason either pink or transparent. The shelves were also pink or transparent. There didn't seem to be any spawners set up for the shelves, so I just threw some stuff on there to make this feel a little bit more finished and like what the content possibly would have been. With that, I pretty much restored most of what I was looking to do here. There's other stuff like the access to the break room that unfortunately I wasn't able to fix. Took me a while, but I'm releasing this mostly just for patch 6 since we're in a bit of a content drought again from stress level 0. This is what I would call more of an injector mod, so it's similar to a replacer mod. Keep that in mind. If you do have any issues with your game, you might want to just uninstall this if it's causing you any issues. I'm doing some hacky shit here with BONLEAB's mod system, and it might not like all of this, so you've had your fair warning here. Also, obviously don't run this on patch 7 since I'm not a mind reader and this could all be useless when that drops. I hope you enjoyed this hacky mod I made and going on a journey with me today down the rabbit hole trying to restore data mined content. I enjoyed pushing BONLEAB's mod system to its absolute breaking point multiple times, either crashing the game or locking up the player character. I appreciate you giving me your time, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.